Well, let's get on with my number one pickup. I think he could go down as the waiver wire pickup of the year, other than maybe Cordarrelle Patterson. It's going to be tough to top him, the running back 2 in PPR fantasy right now. Somebody was in on there early. Kadarius Toney, though. My eye tells me this guy pops off the page, as it does for a lot of people. It's pretty easy. You just have to have eyeballs to see how good this guy is. Deep speed, but especially after the catch. He's a monster. We just saw last week, 13 targets. 10 of them getting hauled in for 189 yards for Kadarius Toney. What an absolutely monstrous performance. He's going up and over defenders. He's ripping 39-yard catches, yards after the catch. It's beastly. He has now seen Kadarius Toney 30.5% target share per game, 11 targets per game, 133.5 receiving yards per game. He's also thrown half a punch in each of his games. Yes, he's hot-headed. Yes, you're going to deal with some antics from there. He also is getting x-rays, so I can't sit here and pretend like this guy's without any type of risk. Of course he is. Plus, this is all coming without Sterling Shepard, who was a mammoth target hog before he got hurt. No Darius Slayton. But how can you watch this guy feast week in and week out these past 2 weeks and not continue to feed him? I think he is absolutely going to have a playmaking role for this Giants team moving forward, on a team desperate for it. I'm intrigued to know, how long is Daniel Jones going to be out with that concussion? But ultimately, Kadarius Toney, my top pickup, I think he is going to be a difference maker from here on out, a very viable wide receiver 3 with, rookie Odell type of upside. Yeah, it's maybe that's the easy comparison because it's on the Giants and he's explosive and he does everything very, very well. But I love this guy. Would be spending about 35% or more if I needed wide receiver on my fab, or if I just need some playmakers. I need some upside. Maybe I'm 1-4 and I just need to really roll the dice. Go get this guy. He could end up turning your season around just like Odell did for so many, 5 seasons ago. Love Kadarius Toney. He'd be my number one claim. Right after him, though, and as I like to emphasize with all of these, you got to go by team need. So I'm going to give you my top 15 in order of how I personally rank them. But of course, if you're desperate at running back, I need a running back this week. I have nobody on my bench. They all have buys right now. So Darrell Williams will become maybe my top priority over Toney on a team like that. I still think Toney's that special that I might even keep him above no matter what my team needs are. But Darrell Williams, if you need running back, could be a workhorse for these next 4 weeks in the most explosive offense, and one of them at least at this point. They're struggling a bit this year. The Chiefs, though, a Pat Mahomes offense is always going to generate scoring opportunities, and Darrell Williams has already sneaky taken that goal line role from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and now he's going to have the rushing share to himself. Immediate low-end RB1, in my opinion. At worst, RB2. He stepped right in when Helaire got hurt. Saw 5 touches, 4 targets compared to just 1 for Jerick McKinnon. On the season, he's run 29 routes compared to 24 for McKinnon. Actually, that was last night, and 25 more carries on the year, 26-1 compared to Jerick McKinnon. Never mind the fact that they get Washington, the Titans, Giants, Packers, Raiders, Dallas. I don't know exactly how much they're going to be holding Helaire out, but it's at least a 3 to 4 week injury, they're saying. Their bye doesn't come till late in the season. Already their season is looking potentially like it's going down the tubes. Now, I imagine they'll get that together. So they'll get Clyde back on the field as soon as he needs to. But ultimately, I do think the mentor, as it's been so often nicknamed in the fantasy community, could have a monster role in one of the most important offenses. I do think Jerick McKinnon, if you miss out on Williams or you don't have the $30 to $40 you're going to need to spend to go get this guy, McKinnon is not a bad consolation prize. And don't be shocked if he has near equal workload when you spend just 1% of your fab instead of $30 of it, right? This guy was lining up all over the place in the preseason, hyped up for his speed and pass catching abilities is something different than what they had in the running back room. This is the time to show it, Jerick. He was running tons of wheel routes, like split out in the slot, running slant. All this was in training camp, but we haven't seen it on the NFL field yet for the Chiefs. So all speculation. But if you miss out on Darrell Williams, I would say Jerick McKinnon's not a bad consolation prize at all as a desperation fill-in, or at worst, at best, probably just a stash, see what he does. Let's attack this backfield, though. It's the Chiefs' backfield. We know how much Andy Reid peppers his backs, and Mahomes is going to generate time and time again those scoring opportunities. Probably an even safer, this guy for at least a week is going to be getting 20-plus touches. That's Devontae Booker. He saw 19, all 19, mind you, 19 backfield touches after we saw Saquon leave early in the game, and he did very solid with them. Ended up putting over 20 fantasy points up. He's got a nose for the end zone, Devontae Booker has. In fact, when he has seen 12 or more carries, that's happened 10 times throughout his career. He has averaged nearly 16 fantasy points per game, would have been the RB14 so far with his 15.66 fantasy points per game average this year. And he scored 11 TDs in those 10 games of 12 or more carries. He has workhorse upside. He's going to be a workhorse, and he's shown that he can thrive when fed that volume. He ran a 32 routes on the 43 dropbacks, had all 4 of their targets. He'll get it done in every single facet. All 4 of their running back targets. I should have prefaced that. I know it's going to be a gross offense with no Daniel Jones. Golladay likely out for a week. Shepard and Slayton still banged up. Maybe even Tony. Who knows how this x-ray is going to come out. Still, this guy is going to, Devontae Booker, see a ton of work. And at the running back position, volume is king, especially the guys that get targets and goal line touches. He has that all on lock for at least next week. They did get good news with Barkley. They said it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. I still think you're getting 2 to 3 starts of him. And then you have the rest of the season. Barkley is a walking injury risk for sure. It sucks. Love the guy, as dynamic as can be. Booker is going to be making starts. And as we've said again, you're locked in RB2 anytime he's in there. No doubt about it. And he's going to be that as early as this week. Moving forward, my favorite wide receiver pickup, he's been on here nearly every single week, and yet he still remains only 31% owned. Timmy Patrick. He's unbelievable. I love this guy. He's seen only, Courtland Sutton, yes, the alpha. 19 targets over the last games since Hamler tore his ACL. And, you can't argue with what Sutton just did last week. But Tim Patrick's just right behind him with 15. He is the clear-cut number 2 in this offense, and he's thriving. He's seen 155 air yards, and he has not been below 12 fantasy. Only once, 2 weeks ago, week 4 against Baltimore, was he held under 12 fantasy points. He is just a safe, steady, sure it's unsexy, but he's doing this with barely seeing the end zone. He does have red zone upside too. I really, really like Tim Patrick moving forward. I know Jerry Jeudy's going to be coming back sooner than later, and he's a guy I got a lot of questions for when I did my waiver wire post today. Definitely stash Jerry Jeudy ahead of any of these guys, especially if you can get him into the IR until he comes back. The guy saw 8 targets and a half. He was going to be a alpha wide receiver 1 this year. It's too bad. I would definitely be stashing him everywhere. But until he comes back, and even after he does, now that Hamler's hurt, Tim Patrick's going to have a role moving forward the rest of the season. The Broncos are finally getting tested and needing to air it out. He's coming off his season high in yards, in catches, 789, 15.9. PPR points, also a season high so far this year. But if you want upside, let's say you don't need the usability of a Tim Patrick right now. Rondale Moore, another guy we've talked about many a times on the show. I think he's worth 12% of your fab. And I just wanted to make sure, how much to spend on Darrell Williams. I mentioned $30-$40 is what you're looking at. Booker, probably 20, 25, just because it's more of a 1-week rental, but going to be a damn good 1-week rental. Nice 16 points for your running back. Tim Patrick, about $15, I would say. Nice, safe wide receiver 3. Rondale Moore, higher upside here. And the reason why this could be trending better than 2 weeks ago, he was the number 1 guy. You got to go get him. And we kind of disappeared since then. Till this week, he saw more routes than Rondale Moore. Than Christian Kirk. 57% route participation compared to 51% for Christian Kirk. That's a huge step. He played season high in snap rate, 48%. And then Max Williams suffered a season-ending knee injury. This is all going to open up a ton of work for Rondale Moore moving forward. And he is as explosive as he can be, as we've seen, like the after the catch, but also toe dragging catches, as good as you could ever ask for. I'm very into Rondale Moore. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.